I'd like to call the meeting to order. Could I have a roll call, please?
Belsley.
Here.
Blunier.
Here.
Dobb.
Here.
Hare. Here. Herman.
Here.
Kaufman.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have no public hearings. We have a special presentation tonight. But before we start that, I noticed that Keith Summer, our legislator, is here. Keith, would you like to say something to the group?
Well, I have no official comments other than to say that I was not really kidding when I mentioned to several when I came into the room that came to see how real government works. But I do strongly believe in local government and what the Morton Village Board does, and it's been a while since I've been here, so just thought I'd stop by and see what's going on.
Well, thanks. Tri-County Planning's Dave Smeesrud and Nick Hayward are here to tell us a little about their plans for a bicycle network connecting Peoria, Tazewell, and Woodford counties. Gentlemen?
Thank you, Mayor Ranson. I'm Nick Hayward with Tri-County Regional Planning Commission, and we are beginning a process to develop a regional bicycle plan for Peoria, Tazewell, and Woodford counties. We're just beginning this planning process. Mayor Ranson invited us to come speak with you a little bit about the work that we are doing with this planning process. So just a brief presentation for you.
Before you start, I'm going to relocate. Anybody who would like to see this from a better angle can move now.
So first, some brief background about Tri-County Regional Planning Commission. Our agency, in cooperation with a committee called PUATS, the Peoria Pekin Urbanized Area Transportation Study, is responsible for identifying transportation projects in the greater Peoria area that should receive federal funding. In addition to that, our agency is charged with regional transportation planning. We've never before pursued a regional bicycle plan, and we think it's an appropriate time to do that now for a few different reasons. One, because there's increasing interest in bicycle transportation. We're seeing more and more communities plan for bicycle facilities and develop bicycle facilities. So while there's an increase in interest in bicycle transportation, no blueprint has ever been established for developing a true regional bicycle network that connects communities in our area. Now we know Peoria, Washington, Morton, other communities have done bicycle planning or have developed bicycle facilities within their communities. So it is not our intent to tell communities what to do via this planning process. We think this planning process can be of most value by working with communities in order to identify what future bicycle connections can be developed between communities so that a true regional bicycle network can be established in the future, which we think can help improve the quality of life in the greater Peoria area, make this region more attractive to prospective businesses and residents. So in addition to identifying a future regional bicycle network, we also want to use this planning process to examine potential bicycle policies and potential educational programs that could be put into place to make the Peoria region a more bicycle-friendly region. To this point, there's been no collaborative, overarching examination of possible policies and educational efforts. So that's what we're seeking to do with this regional bicycle plan. A few different items we'll look at with this regional bicycle plan. One is bicycle infrastructure. So our plan can present the different types of bicycle infrastructure that communities can put into place. We also want to use this planning process to prioritize bikeway connections that are already planned in the region. We also want to identify any additional bikeway connections that can be planned in order to establish a true regional bicycle network. I've already mentioned possible policies. We want to use this planning process to work with communities and other stakeholders to identify possible policies that could promote bicycle use in the region. We also want to identify possible educational programs, such as pertaining to bicycle safety, that can help make this region more bicycle friendly. We also want to look at funding. We feel that by having a regional bicycle plan that prioritizes bicycle projects in the region, that plan can lend support for specific projects when communities are seeking funding for those projects. We also will include in the plan document information about different bicycle funding sources so that moving forward this plan can serve as a resource for communities to identify possible funding sources and to assist communities in further developing their own bicycle systems. Now David will talk about how this plan can be of use to the village of Morton.
Yes, you're sitting here watching this and seeing that we're talking about this regional effort, and but for you, I'm sure you're wondering as well. How can this be of use to us? What's the benefit of Morton in participating with this effort? And a lot of these points here, Nick kind of touched on in general. That in this plan, we would hope to identify bicycle connections that would connect you to other cities in the region. So, for example, East Peoria and Washington, and even possibly connections into Peoria and beyond, and also be considering different policies and educational efforts that promote bicycle use within the village. What may work in Peoria or in East Peoria or some of the other communities may not necessarily be what you want to do. You may want to try to identify your own efforts that you think would work here. Also, again, the resource for bicycle facility information and funding, and then lend support for funding for future projects. If you have specific projects that you're thinking about doing in the future, if you have them identified in this plan, it helps to have that in there if you go search for funding, to show that there's a planning background and some forethought to those projects. How will we work with Morton? Well, we do want to collaborate with you, and a point that Nick made earlier was that we're not telling you what to do. Our role is more to facilitate, provide advice, answer your questions, make suggestions, but ultimately, what ends up in this plan and what it does for you is more or less up to you. We're just the facilitator, but we do plan to collaborate with you and your public and staff and the elected officials extensively. As we will do with every community in the region, we will meet with the village staff and elected officials that are willing to meet with us and have at least one meeting to talk about the issues that are important to you, what your future plans are, and more about how you can use this plan. And then ultimately we'll develop recommendations that meet the needs of the entire region, as we will be meeting with other communities as well. But so we have to try to bring all the communities together and find out what might work for everybody in establishing a regional network. We have had some activity to date. This isn't just the first night we've done anything with this. We've been working on this for a few months now. A lot of it was building up to our kickoff open house event that we held in late September in Peoria at the Gateway Building, and there's some pictures from that event. Had very good attendance. We had about 90 people throughout the course of the night. Different displays, informational guides, We had mapping exercises. We had posters that they can interact with about, what type of cyclist are you, and what types of infrastructure would you like to see, would you be comfortable riding on. So it really was meant to be a fun, engaging event, and we did have some media attention as well. So that was a real positive event and a good way to start the public engagement process. Activity to date, we have an online engagement tool called Mind Mixer, and right there is the exact URL, how to get to that. What's on there right now are a few questions about, what are your preferred type of bikeway, and what are some of your concerns when you're riding, and what are some places that you wish you could go by bike that you might not be able to do right now. And then there's a mapping tool on there where you can pinpoint areas where you have a problem, or there's safety concern, or you think there should be some type of connection or facility. So it's supposed to be more of a fun, interactive way to provide public input as opposed to just a plain old survey. So we do have that for you, and we have handouts with that link on there as well. Next steps, we are currently working on forming a planning steering committee that we've identified several different stakeholder groups that we'd like to have represented, and then ultimately have a person from each one of those groups be on said committee. We're hoping to get that started, I want to say sometime in mid-November. We do have to, reach out and invite these different people that we're trying to get a hold of, and get them to agree to be on the committee, and then plan the meeting. So we're working on that. We want to meet with all the individual communities. I imagine we'll work with your public works or your planning staffs to get those meetings set up, and you're certainly welcome. Any elected officials are encouraged to attend to be a part of that. And then, and one thing that's not listed on there is we would like to have, after meeting with all the individual communities, have a regional roundtable where we bring all the different communities that we've met with together in one meeting, and have like a regional discussion, so sort of as a wrap up to bring it all together for what we've heard from all the individual communities. And then, continue promoting public participation via our Mind Mixer page, and our Facebook page is very active. We try to post something on there every week related to this plan and process. If you don't feel like going on Mind Mixer, you can certainly go on our Facebook page if you're on there and provide comments. You can always email or call us too with your concerns. The goal is to be accessible any way we can, whatever best suits you.
And then one final note, just to be clear, we are just now beginning this planning process. The kickoff open house you saw 2 pictures of during the presentation, that was the official kickoff of this planning process. That was held at the end of September. As David said, we're right now in the process of forming the steering committee that will lead this planning process. So right now we're on the ground floor. There will be more activity as we move along here in the next several months, and we're looking to have this planning process completed in the summer of 2016. We will stop there, and happy to answer any questions you may have.
May I have David's last name?
Smesrud,
Okay.
SMESRUD.
Any questions? There being none, thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming. I'll give you $1 if you turn that machine off.
Can do, and then I will pass out those handouts that list our public input website and give us a brief summary of the plan. We encourage you to please spread the word, and thank you.
Thanks.
You may want to shut that off. The folder was smoldering when you opened it a little bit ago.
Yeah, it is
The fire chief's not here, so.
Police chief's got it under control.
Shoot it. There we go. The second thing on the presentations agenda is a presentation by Clifton Larson, and we've decided to put that off until the next board meeting. Did you want to share some information about that, Julie?
Basically, the reason is there's a new GASB, which is the Government Accounting Standard Board. There's a new pronouncement in relation to public pensions, and they're still pulling all the information needed in order to make the requirements for that standard, so they needed additional time. They plan on having everything done and being able to present at our next meeting.
Thanks. Would anyone in the audience like to make a comment? Would anyone in the audience like to remove anything from the consent agenda? The consent agenda includes minutes from the October 5th meeting and bills. There being none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second? Second. Second by Belsley. Any questions? Call it.
Belsley.
Yes.
Blunier. Yes. Dobb.
Yes.
Hare. Yes. Herman.
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Just so the public knows, there are in fact a lot of questions about the bills. Usually our trustees or even myself will call Julie before the meeting, ask about a bill. If we're satisfied about it, there's no point in bringing it up at the meeting, but I think the public should know that we go through these bills pretty thoroughly. I had two things I wanted to point out. There is a gentleman named Joshua Jeffries, who is one of our paramedics. He just took third place in the World Powerlifting Championships. That championship has only been held in the United States. I think it's been 10 years. And he's now qualified to lift in the Olympics. He had a deadlift of 227 kilograms and a bench press of 145 kilograms. So he can carry people out of a burning building without too much trouble. He's one of our paramedics. He's also a trainer. He even trains at OSF, and he's, in addition to being a full-time paramedic, he's one of our volunteer firemen. And I know for about 10 years he was a rescue diver for Peoria County. He's an Eagle Scout, and I see him at the gym, and I always expect him to pull open his shirt and there'd be a big S on it. But he's quite a guy, and he's one of ours, and I'm really proud of him. In addition, I wanted to make quick mention of the fact that we have another kind of superhero in town, and that's a gentleman named Jim Vernon. I think all of you have heard about the incident that occurred at the library, and I've talked to him and told him that we all plan to honor him in some way at our next board meeting. Because I don't know if you're like me, you're getting lots of phone calls from people. What are you going to do? Well, we are going to honor the man at the next board meeting, and I knew all the trustees would want to do that too. Village clerk,
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
village administrator, chief of police.
Just one thing, Your Honor, in your packet, you'll see the Pumpkin Festival expenses for this year's Pumpkin Festival, I'm sorry. If you note, the total amount for the compensatory time paid out as well as the wages paid out is a little under $1,600 over what it was last year. Part of that is for a billing change. Our officers that work the Pumpkin Festival's beer tent typically build the Legion directly, but with some changes in our billing that we did in regards to our intergovernmental agreement with the school district of how we bill stuff to protect us from workman's comp and what have you. We changed that structure where we actually pay them initially, and then Cindy invoices the business, and this one, it's the Legion. That amount is just over $1,300. And then the other, in years gone by, we've had to call other agencies, whether it be East Peoria, Washington, for assistance with our festival parade. We've increased our auxiliary, and we were able to staff that ourselves this year without calling any additional assistance, and that, though, incurs a slight cost.
Any questions? Thank you. Corporate Counsel.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
The Director of Fire and Emergency Services is not here, and the Director of Public Works is under the weather. So we'll move right to Planning and Zoning.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Trustee Belsley.
Nothing this evening, Your Honor.
Trustee Blunier.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Trustee Dodd.
Nothing tonight.
Trustee Hare.
Just 2 points of recognition over the weekend. The Morton High School Band won another state title, which it's actually too many to count at this point. So it's 11 in a row.
It's
That's
11,
right.
yeah,
It's
they
11.
won 10.
And Jeff Nevor was a classmate of mine who leads the band, so it's very exciting. And also the boys' high school golf team won their second consecutive state title. So congratulations to those guys as well, and we'll be recognizing them in the future. But that happened this weekend.
Yeah, I understand. I hadn't paid attention before, but I looked it up, and the band wins have been consecutive. They've
Oh,
won
yeah, absolutely.
11 times in
Yep.
a row.
Absolutely.
Trustee Herman.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Trustee Kaufman.
Just a reminder of the yard waste program this fall, our 19th consecutive year, and it'll start October 24th and run all the way through Sunday, December 6th, from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., but there is 2 days in that period that'll be closed for debris removal. So November 16th and 17th, it will be closed for 2 days to remove the debris. But again, it starts October 24th to December 6th.
Anything else?
That's all I have, Your Honor.
I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you.